Hello, what nuts, Humpty Dump nuts, oil men, women, and Stanley Cup nuts. Welcome to What Chaos. It is Thursday, May 2nd in the United States, and What Chaos, as always, is presented by Prize Picks Daily Fantasy Sports Made Easy. Use promo code WhatChaos for a first deposit match up to $100. I'm Pete, that's DJ, and that is DJ. Hi, boys.
Hello. Very surgical intro by you today.
Surgical, like the Oilers dispatching the LA Kings. Great night for pretending the LA Kings were awesome last night.
Folks, that's what we call an alley-oop.
I was just
threw out the word surgical to lob it up to you so you could slam it home and talk about the Oilers right off the jump.
I was responding to every Kings fan I saw on Twitter last night being like, the Kings were awesome this series. They were really, really good. Just to kind of make it so like the Oilers smoked a great team.
The Kings weren't bad.
Kings played a great game 4.
Yeah.
They are fucked going forward, so they probably should have wanted to maybe win the cup this year. But
why do you say they're fucked going forward? Because they have PL Dubois for
because
like 7 more years?
Fourth line center who had 1 point in 5 games, and it was a fake point because it was a Darnell Nurse own goal, has 7 more years at $8.5 million per. Tough day to be a Kings fan, and probably a tough little stretch to be a Kings fan. They got a lot of things to figure out. Great night to be an oil man, of course, but also great night to be in the What Chaos family, because whether it was us, the lovely folks in the chat, and if you're not subscribed on YouTube yet, go to youtube.com/whatchaosshow. Hammer that subscribe button. It is free, and it helps us. Plus, you get to have fun and leave all sorts of crazy comments, which y'all folks were doing last night because we had a big P.K. Subban development.
Couple of them.
Watching Subban last night, fired off a tweet because we have been critical of he's got a long way to go as a broadcaster, thought he would be better, think he's mailing it in, what's wrong with ESPN's coverage, and if we're going to say when ESPN's coverage is bad, we should say when it's good, and the last few games, Subban has gotten better. Not amazing, but he's gotten better. So I tweeted, yes, he talked about his penis like 6 days ago, but Subban has been a lot better on ESPN in recent games. And this wasn't posturing or whatever. We were texting after about it. Like, he's like, it seems like he's doing the work, paying attention, watching the games.
I agree. He, at the very least, it seems like he's watching the games and actually delivering some passionate, insightful analysis. Is it super genius level analysis? No, but like it's entertaining and he's making succinct, good points. And that's really like all I wanted from P.K. Subban, at least to start.
Shortly after, our friend Arda Ocal of ESPN proved to be, I don't know, was he being a rat or what was he being?
No, I think that he was just like, this is funny and it's also complimentary.
I think he was stirring the pot.
No, Arda's not a stir the pot kind of guy.
I mean, I could see it being I could have seen PK being offended by that tweet, so I could see it being a stir the pot move.
I don't see Arda as a stir the pot kind of guy.
I don't either.
I don't know Arda, but
Arda is the sweetest man you'll ever meet.
Boy, is he. I can't wait till we were talking last night. He's going to join us at some point, and it's going to be fantastic. But Arda showed P.K. Subban the tweet, and it led to an incredible reaction. I'll explain before. When I say he was talking about his penis last week, he said something about, I've been known to swing that hammer.
I'm not a contractor, but I've been known to carry a hammer.
And Steve Levy was like,
yeah, you have. I've heard that.
Oh, yeah, I heard that about you. And it was a very uncomfortable thing. So that was, I would say, the peak of what's going on with ESPN's hockey coverage. They got to do something about this. And I don't know if that led to a meeting or a talking to, or I know that Ray Ferraro's been on the desk.
So that was my
of late.
that was my big thing. I think putting Ray Ferraro on the desk provided an adult in the room for ESPN's intermission show, and basically required Subban to do his job, and it has worked. Last night, I think overall was ESPN's best day of coverage since getting the NHL rights. I thought the intermission show was great. I thought the game broadcast was very, very good.
Lesko's just the best.
Probably the best day of coverage ESPN has had since taking over the NHL coverage.
I will say, as the chief criticism of PK is that he doesn't actually watch the games. The playoffs are like peak PK territory, less games, and he basically has to watch them. He has to watch the one game that's on ESPN.
But
so it's much easier for him to take.
I'll say, for as many things as you could say about PK Subban and where his head is and all of these things, PK Subban I always considered to be a big game player.
Yeah.
You didn't really get to. It never bore the fruit that you would like it to bear, but he was, even in 2011 when they went 7 games with the Bruins, it was Subban in Game 7 who had that absolute fucking run. Subban was one of the few players that postseason that wasn't afraid of Tim Thomas and would just fucking rocket slap shots past him. And obviously Nashville made that run when he was there. PK Subban, big in big moments. I will give him that. And I think that his kind of hot dog in reputation would make people think, oh, he probably disappeared in the playoffs. I think that I always liked Subban when the lights were the brightest. He's not to turn those lights off. Here is him reacting, though, to the tweet.
Look at this tweet.
I know I just talked about his penis 6 days ago, but Subban has been a lot better on ESPN in recent games. What the? Well, first of all, I said it was a hammer. Everybody assumed it was that. It's my right hook. Have you not seen me box? It's a crazy hammer.
Everybody's
so I got the right, I got
too,
the
yeah.
hammer, I got the wrench, I got the uppercuts, the sledgehammer, bang. Once you get hit with that, you're done.
Bang,
So
out.
I don't know why everybody's mind's in the gutter nowadays. It's crazy.
Okay, I like that he's just doing this and that he's seeing our shit and that he's at least kind of trying to explain that. If this is what you do with the sledgehammer, you should never work in construction.
I think he said uppercut.
He said this is the sledgehammer.
Yeah.
He said the uppercut is the sledgehammer.
Sledgehammer
I will
uppercut.
say,
Yeah.
if you watch
Well,
WWE,
No one has ever gone like this with a
Triple
sledgehammer.
Triple H in WWE, he'll take that sledgehammer, he'll put his hand over the top of it and just go up on people.
Huh?
It's not how you're supposed to use a sledgehammer.
It is in fake fighting.
Well, Subban did some real fighting in his day.
True.
We'll continue the Subban talk in just a moment. But we need to talk about the Edmonton Oilers, who methodically said goodbye to the Los Angeles Kings in 5 games. I, Pete, have been ecstatic with the way this series has gone. I also wasn't very afraid of the Kings. I don't think that I'm going to be afraid of anybody for the Oilers until the Western Conference Final. But we're going to be joined by Bob Stauffer today, I believe momentarily. And the great Bob Stauffer will shed all of his wisdom. You know him from the Oilers radio broadcasts where he is the color man, and also you know him from that wonderful Sportsnet panel with Gene and the gang.
Oh, yeah. The best show on TV, as has been often called on this program. Just probably my favorite intermission show that exists in hockey.
Yeah.
It is the fucking best.
He's fantastic. We don't have Bob? Do we get a fake out from Bob?
We don't have, it seems like we don't have the video.
Oh, okay.
No video, but we can patch him through on the phone. Hopefully video will get figured out, but either way,
Is that
we'll be joined by Bob.
We could do either thing, Sean. What do you think?
Oh, well, wait. Yeah, we have no picture, so we don't.
All right, yeah,
we
let's
have
just
to do it.
Okay,
the
well, it
audio.
would be awkward to just have him sit there and stew. So let's bring on Bob Stauffer and pray to God that we can get video at some point because if I may say so, he's just too handsome and I don't want to see nothing. I want to see Bob. Hi, Bob.
Oh. Bob. Bob.
Yes, do you have me?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Is that the best intro you've ever heard or what?
Well, it would help if you didn't have the guy on with the worst computer skills in the entire National Hockey League that works as a broadcaster. So that's that, and a guy that's got a face for radio. So I think that's why they're keeping me off the screen right now.
I don't think so. You got a very nice face, and I'm sure you're wonderful with computers. I think that it's probably an issue with probably your coverage or something like that. Nothing is your fault. Bob, what?
Try telling my wife that.
Sure thing. Patch you through. Video, no video, I will do it.
All right.
Bob, what do you make of this series? Do you feel as confident as Oilers fans probably do right now in them?
Well, I you know what? It's funny because I just actually communicated with somebody that was with the Kings before, and they went 7 games with the Kings. Did not have Drew Doughty 2 years ago, and it took the Oilers 7 games. Now they won game 2 at home 6-0, and game 3 in LA 8-2. But Edmonton didn't really know how to win yet, right? And they ended up getting 2 playoff series victories that year, and it's been a long time coming. And I might assert to you that I don't think they have quite the program yet that an organization like Boston has. Like Boston, they've had a good thing going for a long time. And though I'm sure there's some fans in Boston that are a little nervous, but the Oilers are coming. What differentiated this series to me than the last 2 is, since Chris Knobloch's been head coach, everybody knows the Oilers can score, but they're the 5th best team in the league over the last 69 games in goals against. And that has not been a modus operandi to the Oilers team success over the last several years. They kind of just scored themselves out of problems, and then they'd run up against teams that were maybe a little bit better defensively. And I think Edmonton's taken some strides in that, and it was reinforced with the 1-0 victory in game 4. So should the fans be confident? Yes, but there's still some really good teams left in the Western Conference. I do think there's probably 6 teams in the West that could have won. I don't know if I'd feel that way about the East. And whoever gets out of the Central, I mean, that's going to be a hell of a team. And we'll see what happens with Vancouver and Nashville. I am surprised at I think the Canucks must be banged up because they are not generating a lot of shots. 2 teams have combined for 11 goals. But in Edmonton's case, I think their time's coming.
I mean, this is a great series for the Oilers in a lot of different departments, but what gives you the most confidence, or what is the most encouraging thing moving forward that you saw through these 5 games against LA?
The defense. And I like offense, right? Like I do in I like teams that, to me, coaching comes down to one central question. Do you coach to score the next goal, or do you coach to stop the next goal from being scored? But if you can't defend, you're challenged to win. And the Oilers have improved their, management did their part, Ken Holland. And I was pretty adamant that the Oilers needed to step up in February of 2022 or 23. And they did. They went out and got Matthias Ekholm. That was a game changer for the Oilers. The Oilers are simply a much better defending team than they used to be. And as a result, because they've got scoring depth, it's not just McDavid and Draisaitl, they are going to be a hard out for whoever they face.
Do you think that Nurse is where he needs to be, though? And I agree that their defense has been better and that Ekholm has really been a godsend for them. Do you think that they still have to get right in some respects? And also, how big a part of this is Stu Skinner? Because he, I think, was really good this series. Obviously, he was incredible in game 4, but I think that he played better even than his goals against would suggest.
Well, the Kings got the Kings got 4 fluky goals in the series. Yeah. Now, it didn't cost Edmonton a game. They got 3 fluky goals in game 1. That was a 6-1 game that ended up 7-4, right? You had the 2 goals deflecting off of skates, and then you had CC breaking a stick, and that led to a 2-on-1. With Edmonton having complete puck possession. And the goal last night, the 1-1 goal, I mean, that was
assisted by the glass.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that Skinner probably he's coming. It's funny. I'm old enough. It's funny I'm on with you guys because the first book I remember reading was Goaltender by Jerry Cheevers on the 70-71 Boston Bruins season. And I can remember in 82 Grant Fuhr, and I'm not comparing Stuart Skinner to Grant Fuhr.
I am.
Grant Fuhr, you are? Okay, nicely done. Hall of Fame goalie, but he had a terrible first playoff against the LA Kings back in 1982. Big upset, the biggest upset in NHL playoff history. The Oilers finished 48 points ahead of Los Angeles that year. Edmonton had 7 Hall of Famers on that team. They lost to the Kings at 5. And Grant Fuhr's an Edmonton area product. Stuart Skinner's actually played for the same athletic club that I did as a kid here in town. And, he had a tough first experience last year. I think that happens to a lot of goaltenders that establish themselves in the first year. It's a different animal, a different pressure. But what I like about Skinner is his work rate. Like, he's continuously improved. He came up. Him and Vincent Desharnais 5 years ago were in the ECHL. And they've grinded their way to the top. And he's got a relentless work ethic. And it doesn't matter what you do in your chosen career path. If you work your balls off, generally speaking, you're probably going to be fairly successful. So I think Skinner's shown a lot of growth. As for Darnell, less is more.
Hard work is important, but it's also important to have rich parents. That's what we've learned this season too.
Yeah, that's a Hearst. I had to laugh at that because wouldn't that mean the person would be less likely to work hard if they had that? Like, it's why you would want to denigrate the accomplishment. Well, I think we all know why. So I'm not even gonna. You know what? I didn't even discuss it. I just shake my head. Obviously, you're referring to the Zach Hyman situation and the additions of Hyman.
What happened there?
We're talking about
that was my own take.
Yeah. Hyman and the additions of Hyman and Ekholm and I always preface this by saying, yes, I travel with the team. Yes, I'm in the room as a media person, but I'm not in the room as a player. And I don't know, or even the equipment guys and trainers would have a good read. But I think that Hyman and Ekholm are pretty important additions, and Ekholm ties into Nurse. Darnell liked playing 24, 25 minutes. He tends to be, he's really athletic and he can skate, but the puck does the work. And, we had Chris Pronger here, albeit only for a year, and the guy could play the game in a rocking chair. And I think as Darnell Nurse continues to grow as a defenseman, you'll see him, maybe pick his spots a bit more when he goes and activates and jumps up offensively, pick his spots a little bit more when he goes to settle scores with guys on the ice, and continue to grow as a defender, to answer your question.
What's your read on this team from just like a vibes perspective? Because we were talking earlier before the show that it really does feel like the vibes around this team, for as kind of intangible as that conversation may be, like they have some magic to them. And we've seen at points these guys kind of like fighting with each other, yelling at each other, but that stuff does happen to good teams. And it seems like they're kind of operating on full cylinders right now and the vibes are good. What's your read on it being closer than us?
Well, I would go back to the game in Carolina because that was the turning point in the season. Knoblauch had been in for 5 games at that point. They got routed in the first period. And there's a scene on the bench where McDavid taps Draisaitl and Draisaitl taps McDavid. And then Edmonton came out in the third period of that game and played really well and got going. And then flipped the switch and had, like I said, they had the best record in the league under Knoblauch. In the 69 games he coached, they had a 703 winning percentage. And it was much better, actually, if you took out the first 5 games. Like, it was like 725. So the fact that Corey Perry would get in an animated discussion with Evander Kane, it's part of the reason why Corey Perry's here, is to provide some veteran guile and some experience. And a guy like that appreciates every second that he's in the league at that stage in his career, and he wants to win. It's, again, I'm around it. They are mature. They're the oldest team in the league, you guys. Like, this is not the Edmonton Oilers of, like, I'm in year 16 doing color. And from 2010 to 2015, the Oilers had either the youngest, the second youngest, or third youngest team all 5 of those seasons. And they're a maturing team. And, with the additions that they made at the deadline, picking up a 34-year-old Adam Henrique and a 32-year-old Sam Carrick, Edmonton now has the oldest team in the NHL right now. So they should be experienced. They should be poised. And they have showed that. And then their coach, Chris Knoblauch, who I did his games at the University of Alberta he started, his first year was 99-2000. Here's a story for you. The night I asked my wife to get married during a broadcast on the air.
No way.
You should have done it. You should have done it at a church or something.
No,
you got married at a broadcast.
Yeah, he asked his wife to get married.
I got it.
You want to get married at a broadcast
during the Golden Bears broadcast, and Chris Knoblauch scored 5 goals that night for Alberta. That year, when the Bears got eliminated as a huge favorite at the Nationals, they'd won the 2 previous years. Chris came up to my wife, Kathleen, and myself and said, hey, Bob, the next time you get engaged, can you do it during a University Cup final game? So it was, but I've known the guy for like 25 years. The Oilers, like, he's been on the radar screen for over a decade. Kevin Lowe helped him get the job in here. I'm not sure if you know this, but Edmonton was assisting Sherry Basson at that time with the Erie Otters, and Chris ended up in Erie, and became the first major junior coach in history to have 450-plus win seasons. He helped settle the team down because he's a very chill, relaxed guy. He's strong and firm in his convictions as how he wants the team to play, but the bench is under control during the games, and they're not yipping at officials, and they're, and they have a good team. And so they're confident, and they've got older, mature players. So they can handle a little bit of sidebar discussion between Evander Kane and Corey Perry that wouldn't have been an issue 20 years ago, but goes viral today.
I feel so bad for Jay Woodcroft. I didn't love him as a coach, but I think that he's a serviceable NHL coach. They are so much better under Chris Knobloch. It's insane. And I always got the sense as an Oilers fan of like, I don't know if they win under this guy. I hope that he gets another job, and he probably will at some point. But, I mean, everything that you just said about Chris Knobloch as a coach and the demeanor that he has and how the team follows that seems so apparent watching them. What are teams going to do about the Oilers' power play? Because that first unit with McDavid and Draisaitl and Hyman and Nugent Hopkins, and then when one of those four geniuses don't have the puck, it's fucking Evan Bouchard just launching bombs. The most impossible power play to defend. Are teams just going to let Connor McDavid do whatever he wants at 5-on-5, knowing that we can't go on the, like, you saw it last night. Every time the Kings took a penalty, you were like, oh, you idiots. And then the Oilers would score.
And that's a team with the second-ranked PK during the regular season.
And they got smoked. So are teams just going to basically not touch the Oilers in 5-on-5 play? Because if ever there were a team you shouldn't do that against, or that would burn you for doing that, it would be the Oilers.
Well, I will say, I grew up watching the Oilers in the 80s and was, I was 18 the first year the Oilers won the Cup. And I watched the greatest cavalcade and collection of offensive stars in the history of the game. And that's how I want the game played, with style and panache and tempo. But the Oilers' power play back then wasn't as good as it is right now. Nugent Hopkins, since he's broken into the league, has produced as a top-line player 5-on-4 in terms of expected goals for and points per 60 and all that kind of stuff. And that was before McDavid and Draisaitl got here. Edmonton had the third best power play in the league the year Nuge broke into the league back in 2011-12. He's always been a good power play player, average 5v5 player, but a really good power play player. And he's the guy we talk about the least. Right. So Hyman, in terms of the net front, competitive player, better hands than he gets credit for, relentless work rate, exceptional on puck retrievals. Then you have, Draisaitl and McDavid. They're the second or third highest scoring players through 50 games in NHL playoff history. The only guy that's ahead of them is Wayne from the Edmonton operation, to paraphrase his infamous soap opera appearance on Young and the Restless. Boy, that was a top flight performance from Wayne that year. And, and then you get Bouchard on the point, who shoots like Al McInnes. Like, it is a lethal combination with multiple looks and multiple weapons. I wanted the Oilers guys to win 50 games, and they're at like 48 games with 5 games left. And they went vanilla on their power play. It was like, it'd be like the offensive coordinator at Alabama, and they know that they're going to go into the Final Four, even if they lose the SEC championship game. And so they limit the playbook, because they're going to open the playbook up for the playoff games. And I was a little bit frustrated. Like, why is the power play, I kind of thought it was pedestrian. And then the first game against LA, they had like 3 new looks. They just dominated that game. They were 3 for 4 in the power play in the game. Could have scored on all 4 power plays, multiple looks. It is a beast for teams. And you know what? Officials got to call penalties. That's the reality of the situation. Like, it's supposed to be a meritocracy, and if you earn a call, you should get a call. And last night, if you're a Kings partisan, you probably thought in the series, Edmonton ended up with 20 power plays. We only got 12. Like, what's going on here? But Edmonton had the better scoring opportunities, and they were a little bit more disciplined, and they absolutely scorched them. And so, to answer your question, that power play was good against Vegas last year too. Don't forget that. It was equally as good against Vegas as it was against LA last year. I don't expect a drop off there.
And I mean, and it's also worth pointing out 12 for 12 on the PK, which, and like, is there any part in your mind that is a little worried? I know you just said that you don't expect much of a drop off, but is there any worry about the unsustainability of kind of the special teams and how much of a role it played in this series? Because at 5-on-5, this series was even in scoring. It was 12-12.
Yeah, with LA scoring, they got a couple breaks on some goals.
Right.
I you know what? I didn't expect the Oilers to have a combined 145% on the power play and PK. Like if you're at 120, you're cruising, like you're unbelievable. The penalty killing to me, like the Oilers had a stretch when they won the 16 straight games. Their penalty killing was off the charts. At one point, they were like 36 for 37 on the PK. Then we came back from the All-Star break and they got murdered. Like that's to me penalty. And coaches will tell you penalty killing is more important than the power play. And it played a big factor in why this series ended in 5 games because the Kings just could not break through. Pete, it's a completely legitimate point. I just think that the power play is going to clip at least 30%, just because there's so many options. They've worked together for so long. They have lots of different looks because McDavid and Draisaitl move around a bit. There's not Ovechkin lines up in the left side half boards and blasts one-timers home. Or Stamkos, right? Like it's a different type of. Sometimes Draisaitl's in the middle bumper position. LA did make a change last night. They went from a diamond to basically a 1-3. They had one forward up, and then they had a forward low, and then the 2 defensemen. So they went to a 1-3, and Connor still figured it out during the court, and that's how brilliant Connor is.
He's insane. We'll find out in the next 4 or 5 days, Bob, who the Oilers will play in the second round, whether it's the Canucks or the Predators. The Oilers were 0-4-0 versus the Canucks in the regular season, although 3 were during that first month under Woodcroft. 2-1-0 against the Predators, but 2 of those games, including the loss, were with Jack Campbell in net. Who should the Oilers want as their opponent? Because I'll tell you what, as an Oil man myself, I'm not afraid of either of them.
Yeah, I respect both teams. Like I think I vote for the coach of the year, and I voted for Tocchet, and I voted for Burnett in my top 3. I am surprised that Vancouver hasn't generated more against Nashville. That said, Saros, I guess, probably stole game 5, but before that was hovering around like an 870 save percentage. I don't think the Preds are as deep as Vancouver up front. But I think maybe Nashville has a little bit more, like you look at O'Reilly, he knows how to win. And, I think Vancouver, they missed the playoffs 7 of the last 8 years. They were here in the bubble year and the pandemic year 2020, but they missed the playoffs. And this is sort of their first kick back into it. Sometimes you have to go through some growing pains. So I put it this way. I think Edmonton can beat both teams. I realize Vancouver went 4-0 against the Oilers, and the Oilers didn't have McDavid in the final game of the season that they played the Canucks. Casey DeSmith won twice in Edmonton this year, including a game in which I think he made 38 saves in a 4-3 win, second game of the season. So Canucks have got some good players. They're well coached. Nashville's well coached. Nashville's got some experience. Either of them are going to be tough outs, but the Oilers have grown, and they got a good team too.
What's Gene like?
Well, we have this ongoing battle because I always used to think Italian soccer was too passive, and I like teams that go for it, right? Like, I mean, I remember the 82. Were either of you guys born in 82, by the way?
Nope.
88.
No. Oh man,
91.
I'm a Lindros.
Yeah, well, he was a hell of a player, and he was right not to trust Marcelo Bou in Quebec. But I digress. Anyways, Italy, lucked out and won the 82 World Cup, and I always thought Brazil got robbed that year because that team was entertaining. And I remind Gene on a regular basis that all it took for Italy to win the World Cup in 2006 was to denigrate the world's best player at the time, Zinedine Zidane, about his mother or sister or whatever it was. If that's how you got to win, Gene, he's a great guy. It's a really unique crew. Like Jack's a really talented broadcaster, play-by-play guy. Everybody knows that. And Jack does the playoffs be on radio. Louis Louis will tell you, Jake will tell you that I sat down with those guys after seeing Jake play in 12-13 in the lockout year in midget AAA. He was a late round draft choice of Swift Current. And I said, he reminds me a lot of Joffrey Lupul, who was a late bloomer, skilled, smart, can get to areas he's going to play. And Louis a fun guy. And then Gene, I mean, come on, man. This a bit of the shtick for me. I have, I'm sort of like, wow. It's tough, and it's he has days where his hair, when he lets it grow out, he looks a bit like Rhea Perlman. Of course he I'm a guy at times that bears a striking resemblance to a cross between Fred Flintstone and Big Pussy from The Sopranos. So
amazing,
right? So I hear it all the time. Like, it's the amount of memes and stuff that I get sent from our fans on a daily basis. Every time I'm on that panel, it's really fun stuff. I prefer the sit down panels to the stand up panels because you guys will find you get shorter with age. Like, I was 6 feet when I was 13, and somehow I'm 5'10" now. I'm trying to figure out what happened.
Oh, I lost like a fucking foot during the pandemic, dude. Like, my posture is just.
I don't have a foot to lose, so I'm in dire straits right now.
There we go. But you're both really smart and good looking and young. So
I'll tell you what, you're all so beloved though. There's an Oilers meme account that I follow, and I sent them a note yesterday. I said, hey, we're having Bob on the show. Is there anything fun that we could use to promote it? And within 5 minutes, they hammered me with like 1,000 adorable Bob Stauffer things, including this, Sean, if you have it. You skating and the Oilers players looking on, so proud and so happy. What was this? You got Red Bull in hand?
Yeah, well, yes, and so we were in Seattle. The Oilers had just lost to Vancouver or to San Jose on the Thursday. We flew into Seattle, and we were skating at their practice facility. They have like 3 sheets, and I looked at our guys with our Oilers Plus group, and I said, you know what, our guys need a laugh here. And he goes, well, you should go on the ice and skate. And I'm like, did you see? Like, and they were rental plastic skates. Okay, so. We tipped off the guys and said I was going to go out there for a loop. But those skates were not, they said, what's the say? Carpenter never blames his tools. The skates were a little bit challenging. I'm not saying that I'm carrying a little bit of extra weight, but Tony Brar from Oilers TV had to help me do the skates up. No, I'm kidding. But a little girl did a pirouette at center ice, and I was looking down on my phone, not paying attention. And her skate clipped up, and I was like, at the last second I saw it, and I sort of, did a yard sale and fell, and the boys had a good laugh, and that's when the season turned around.
It's all you, Bob.
No,
Bob the galvanizer.
Yeah, no, it's funny how many people make reference to that video, and my son was rather embarrassed by it. He's like, "Come on, man.
Oh, come on!
Those are. Tell you,
that is the most I've ever seen anybody stunt on these hoes. That video, you have the most swagger I've ever seen.
Confidence.
One of my most favorite videos on the internet this year.
You know what? The older you get, the more you realize, the less you know, and you gotta laugh at yourself. Self like in the media business, self-deprecation works, and I can always tell guys that are young, dumb, and egotistical, because I was once that too. You got to learn how to laugh at yourself. The sooner you learn how to laugh at yourself, the better. It was a good chuckle. I don't plan on doing it again. We also had another one the year before. We were in Washington, and they were chucking the football around, and they had I'm a lefty, and they have a low roof down by the dressing room, and I didn't want to hit the roof, and I grounded like the first 2, like neither of the 2 passes went more than 10 yards, because I didn't want to elevate the ball and knock one of the lights out. And of course they ran that on our Oilers Plus show. And the haters out there, where they want to have a little bit of expense, made fun of the fact that I'm not exactly Steve Young with the left hand.
You have haters?
Can't imagine.
Family members mostly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, people that should hate you. Yeah, but people that watch you, of course, they should be loving it. Would you ever get in on like the Gene type of thing? Would you ever show up and be like, hey, Gene, look, just ask the questions. I'm going to dress up as a pizza man today.
Probably not. No, I think I'll leave that to Gene. Like it is a uniquely Gene-esque Edmonton thing, right? Like, are there a lot of other hosts that go down that path?
Oh, buddy, no.
Absolutely.
You're
There's no
of
one
a
like
kind.
Gene.
You know, it's supposed to be fun. Like, we're in the entertainment business, so you can have real facts. And I bored you with some analytics on the team before, and number one in expected goals for in the season, and finished Knobloch finished second in goals for since he took over, fifth in goals against, third on the power play, seventh on the PK, number one in expected goals for, number four in the face-off circle, all that kind of stuff. But you also got to have a little bit of fun with it, and that's what Gene does. Gene has fun, and the other thing is, guys, the Oilers have had they had a thing called the Decade of Darkness. Like these are these are the good old days. Like you don't get a win 5 out of 7, not with 32 teams and not with a salary cap. Like it's unlikely we'll see it. So enjoy it while you're there and experiencing it. And that's where we're at right now.
Man, we got to get to Edmonton.
Yeah.
All of our, I'll tell
Cup
you what,
final.
we're based in Boston, and the only market that we've really been able to grab, like as far as local markets go, Oilers people. Oilers fans are very good, very supportive, and they absolutely love you and Gene and Louie and Jack for good reason. Lastly, I don't really know how to phrase this, but what feels better, making Zach Hyman smile because he's got that incredible smile, or making Leon Draisaitl smile because not everyone can do that?
It's funny because Zach's a Michigan fan and I'm an Alabama fan, so we had a little wager on the what was it, the semifinal game that went in overtime. The whole team wanted Zach to win, also because Alabama's won a lot. Zach's just an amazing guy. Leon, my friend, Corey Clouston coached him in Prince Albert. I did Corey's games at the University of Alberta as well, and a funny story in Leon's draft year. I asked Corey, I go, well, you got a couple 30 goal scorers playing with Leon here. And he goes, Stauf, how much do you weigh right now? And I'm like, well, that's kind of a personal question, but 230, why? And he goes, I think you'd score 30 with Leon. And he's going to be way better than people think because he can really shoot the puck. And I'm guaranteeing you, like I was like, well, could he be a 25 goal, 70, 75 point guy? And this is before scoring jumped a bit. He goes, no, he's going to be way better than that. He might be able to score 40 one day. Leon, you can get Leon and Zach are different. There's no question about that. But you got a chuckle out of Leon, and you've done some work there. And it's just, I work for the club, so I'm going to stick up for him. And at times he's pushed back a bit on some of the questions that he gets, and maybe I've understood why he would push back sometimes. So I would say maybe Zach might be an easier guy to get a chuckle out of, but Leon certainly has a better sense of humor than people realize.
Man, they could have traded Leon Draisaitl for PK Subban, and they didn't do it.
That was, well, George Laurent. Are you got PK on today, or what's going on there?
We're gonna have him on at some point. I don't think so. I dealt with him back in the day when I was actually physically doing real work, but I don't think he knows us outside of we tweeted about his penis last night.
This show has gone a very unique path. Anyhow, yeah, that was. You know what? I never thought that was close to happening. Just I know the rumor was out there. The Oilers were looking for a right-handed shooting defenseman. PK, was a spectacular player in Montreal and incredibly popular. And I think he's really grown and evolved over the last year, though he was a little slow in the uptick on the Oilers, just in how they have become a different team. It's interesting watching. Yeah. Mark Messier is the guy that's. He's taken a big step forward on that panel, in my opinion. Just watch, much more comfortable on the air, which it doesn't happen overnight. Just because you're a great player doesn't mean we're all a work in progress. So was not as close to a deal as maybe was rumored out there at one time.
So my understanding of it was somebody from the Canadians told me, I was talking to them at that draft, and I was like, is Subban thing happening with Edmonton? And he said, if they give us Leon Draisaitl, yes. And I was like, are they going to give you Leon Draisaitl? And he was like, I don't think so. So, and I remember like that was around that. So I used to have this like obsession with Leon Draisaitl as a prospect because it fascinated me that Peter Chiarelli arrived in Edmonton, wasn't afraid to trade anybody, which has always kind of been Peter Chiarelli's modus operandi. And he right away like watched Draisaitl and tethered himself to him and gave him that big second contract that a lot of people, I mean, in Boston, Pasternak was up and people were saying, oh no, Chiarelli ruined the market. Why did he give Draisaitl so much money? And very, very quickly, that contract looked amazing. And I still can't wrap my head around for a player that makes people so immediately think this guy is incredible, he's the future. How the fuck did two players go before him in his draft? It's crazy.
Well, I can tell you what happened with Buffalo. Buffalo drafted 5 Europeans in the first round prior to that draft year. So Tim Murray was running Buffalo's draft. I was elated. I was stoked that the Oilers got Draisaitl. Craig McTavish and Scott Housen in 2014 were running the team at that time. And I'd met with Leon multiple times myself because the Edmonton Oil Kings, en route to winning the Memorial Cup that year, played Prince Albert twice in the regular season in the final 2 weeks and then played him in the opening round of the playoffs. And Draisaitl was the only reason why PA wasn't getting blown out every game 6-0 because Edmonton had a hell of a team. Last WHL team to win the Memorial Cup. And then you did your homework. Pete, the day of Pete's press conference, after the press conference that day when he got announced as the new president GM of the Edmonton Oilers, he flew to Kelowna because Leon had been moved. Leon didn't even need to be sent down to the minors or sent back to junior during the 14-15 season. His last game that he played in the NHL that year, he was second star against the Calgary Flames, had 2 primary assists. He was starting to come. But he ended up getting moved, did not return to Prince Albert, went to the Kelowna Rockets. They had a great team. They ended up playing in the 2015 Memorial Cup. And Pete, the day of his press conference, hopped on the jet and went to go see Leon play. And so to his credit, and, you know, people can say, well, Peter traded Tyler Seguin and he traded Taylor Hall, so he would trade anybody. But he did double down on Leon. And I think we knew, those of us that have been in, you know, and I worked for the club, like, we knew Leon was going to be pretty good. And you're 100% right. Your memory is exceptional, DJ. Like, our fan base, some of the guys that I know well that really know hockey were livid that the Oilers did $8.5 million times 8 years, but they didn't see Draisaitl becoming a 50-goal scorer, which he's done 3 times, or a 100-point scorer multiple times. They didn't see that. And as it's turned out, he's totally outperformed the contract. And that is a contract that Pete Chiarelli got right all day.
Dude, the Oilers fucking rock. Have you ever seen There Will Be Blood? What are your thoughts?
With Daniel Day-Lewis?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's an oil man.
Yeah, well, he's also arguably the greatest actor of our generation, isn't he? He's kind of fixed his spot. Hey, I'm a Renaissance man. The unbearable,
you really are.
The unbearable.
You're right on the money on everything. It's the best.
The unbearable lightness of being with Daniel Day-Lewis and Juliette Binoche and Lena Olin. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I always ask the Czech players about it because it has to do with the Velvet Revolution in '68. So it's a great
we had a Velvet Revolution reference.
Bob, I was talking about the Velvet Revolution, I think, yesterday, which again goes back to what the fuck is this show that I was talking about the Velvet Revolution for some reason. Subban's penis, Velvet Revolution, Daniel Day-Lewis, Peter Chiarelli, underrated contractual savviness, all these things. But yeah, man, I watch There Will Be Blood like once a round in the playoffs because it gets me so fired up for the Oilers.
Really? There we go. You know what? I'll always defer to Daniel Day-Lewis, and there's lots of reasons why, and anybody that's seen the movie knows what I'm talking about.
Oh, he's so good. And you're so good, Bob. We are so grateful that you came on with us, man. You know that we love you, and we love everything that you do. Thank you so much.
If you're stuck and can't get anybody better out of Edmonton, give me a call, okay, guys?
Hell yes.
Always.
Thanks
right
so
on,
much.
Guys. Thanks for your time. Love your stuff.
Right. Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, what a legend. I love him so much. Man, everybody, the vibes in Edmonton are so good.
and it keeps getting better and better, bigger and bigger, like my Prize Picks account. I go to my Prize Picks account. I say, what's this? What? I don't remember depositing this much money. Sure, they gave me a $100 deposit match, but I don't remember having this much money in there. And they say, DJ, you stupid bitch, you 10x'd. I said, I 10x'd.
Yep.
They said, yeah, you picked 4 categories, more, less. Knowing how you like to DFS, you mostly picked more.
Yeah.
It's a lot more fun to pick more.
Yeah.
You do some of these.
We do our our nightly, hey, we're 10xing tonight, and we send our list, basically our grocery list of what we're riding with. It's always more. Sometimes I feel bad. Like sometimes like, am I an idiot? Do I I'm at 100% more rate? Do I have to pick less at some point? It's so much more fun to root for more.
Less is for cowards.
Yeah.
And it's
Shout out Jack Edwards.
The way that we build them, you should see it. It's so fun. We'll each just throw out like, hey, I'm thinking these 4. Oh, I was thinking these 4. Let's just do yours. And then it's done. And then we either 10x or we don't. I don't think either of us have ever like stood up for one of our, or like shown our work or been like, here's why it's gonna happen. Like I'll fuck around sometimes.
Purely vibes.
Recently, I was fucking around with some Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, more shots on goal, which Connor McDavid has the reputation for, I'm not shooting tonight. No. In all seriousness, that's Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. But you know how good it feels?
It was like 1.5 shots.
When you get him on a night where he does shoot a little bit?
It was like 1.5 shots, and I was like, I don't know, Jim.
Oh, it's so much fun. And as I've said many times with this Prize Picks thing, it is a challenge. And I hope that Prize Picks knows that I say that affectionately, that like it does feel like you're playing a game, solving a puzzle, using strategy, even if you play it fast and loose.
Sean had the best comparison, whatever cooking show that was.
Cutthroat Kitchen?
Cutthroat Kitchen, where they just give you like a small batch of things to work with and say, make a meal.
A real cook can make a meal out of anything.
So that's how I feel about Prize Picks. The board is not always the most extensive board you've ever seen, but it makes you think a little differently.
Yeah. I'll do it tonight. There aren't a lot of games being played tonight.
One game, not to shoot our wad on the
We're not going to tell you what it is yet.
Stick around later to find out who plays tonight.
Our overtime stream thing that says that we're the only place you can watch hockey games.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
I think you can, if it's clearly a parody, then we decided it's a parody. But I'll tell you what, the only parody on Prize Picks is the PARITY, because everyone on there is a winner. Depending on how they do.
Mm-hmm.
I just mean like they don't automatically win. I say like everybody is like a good winning person. So go to prizepicks.com/whatchaos and use code whatchaos for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/whatchaos and use code whatchaos. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Today's podcast also brought to you by new sponsor alert. Bauer Hockey, a brand that I very much know and love. Bauer, obviously an incredible equipment company. NHL players, plenty of them sponsored by Bauer. Plenty of them use Bauer equipment. But I'll tell you what.
I'm a Bauer athlete.
You got skates?
My blades and my skates.
Right, yeah. Yeah, DJ.
I only do
Don't
Bauer.
talk to this guy about rollerblading because I hope you got your whole day free. This guy loves talking about rollerblading.
No,
do you still have my rollerblades?
Because I'm gone.
You have my Bauer rollerblades?
If you try to talk to me about rollerblading, I remember that I could be rollerblading instead of having that conversation. And
do you still have my blades?
Yes, I politely tried to give them back to you for like 1 year.
I politely like forgot that I did not have possession of my rollerblades, but I would like those back for the summer. My rollerblades also Bauer branded, but I mean Bauer's clothing. Incredible. People have
asked about a certain pair of pants I wear on this show. They're these nice navy jogger types, but they've got that kind of
like
yoga-ish quality. Bauer. So good.
They got incredible golf stuff, incredible workout stuff. Just the quality of like their premium clothing is so good. And listen, I haven't even gotten to the part where they asked me to read. because this is just pure testimonial. I am very excited that Bauer is sponsoring this show. So if you're looking for new ways to dominate on the ice, Bauer's here to help you with an assist by being the go-to destination for your training needs. Whether you're an elite skater or a rookie in rec league, these training tools are built to help you become the player that you've always wanted to be. So head to Bauer.com/training to explore the full range of training gear like the digital reactor dangler for stick handling drills or the reactor slide board to help add strength to your stride. Use code FreeShipWC. That's what it is. I was trying to figure out. I thought there was like free ship.
Canadians call
free
a
ship?
bathroom
The water
a
closet.
WC,
Yeah.
if you will.
Use code FreeShipWC, all smashed together. FreeShipWC for free shipping, or visit a local Bauer retailer to get started today. Again, that's Bauer.com/training with code FreeShipWC.
I was about to ask Sean to give me the camera so I could correct somebody in the chat who said, DJ, tie your shoes. These, and then they followed up a couple minutes later and they were like, you know what? It just looks like those are very long laces. I don't know what to do about these 574s. Got clown laces.
You just need to get new laces. Jeez.
You got to tuck.
You need new laces.
They
you
just
got to tuck. Look, can I get
Tuck
this?
also works.
wait. You tuck?
I tuck.
What does that mean? Are those not tied?
No,
Oh,
this is underneath here.
oh.
I'm very pro not tying shoes.
Pro tuck.
Like,
Whoa.
I haven't. My Air Forces.
Slip-ons.
My Air Forces. I have not like untied these shoes in over a year. I slide these motherfuckers on. These are also like beaters though.
Oh, bad
Yeah.
behavior. Sliding on sneakers is
I mean, I don't
Bad behavior.
I don't really like slide. Like the tongue. There's enough give in the tongue that I can like slide in without going over the heel.
yes.
Because I'm a big like watch out for the heel
Don't
kind of guy.
step on the backs.
100%.
I don't step on the back.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, these are a little different because again, these are Air Forces I've had for over a year and are destroyed to shit. I wear them every day. But I'm pro not tying your shoes.
Okay,
Thank you.
so maybe I think I came at that a little judgmental or a little ignorant.
You definitely need new laces though. Like you just need to get shorter laces. Do they not? Do they drag on the ground like when you walk?
No.
Okay,
but-
that's fine then.
I mean, I
that's
guess
fine.
I could, but the thing is with laces, you don't want to have to be. Sometimes this happened with some old skates that I had, where I'm like, I don't want to be thinking about the possibility that one of these fuckers could hit the ice because
Yeah, that's
then
fair.
I'm in trouble. So you know what I did? I got me some Bowers.
Nice
Problem solved.
double knot there fixes it.
I also still tie my shoe. I don't think I ever learned to tie my shoes the like cool way.
I didn't know there was a cool way to be
I
honest.
didn't know there was a cool.
I
way
like
to-
I do like mission. I do missionary. The let's see. Hold on.
tie my shoes missionary
shoe
style.
shoe tying tutorial. I think I do.
Do you do the rabbit ears?
Yeah, I do rabbit ears.
Yeah, same.
Okay. So is that?
Oh,
That's like child behavior.
yeah. I don't think I do rabbit ears.
I mean, I only thought there was one way to tie a shoe.
You thought that rabbit ears is the only way? No, there's like the loop, swoop, and pull.
Yeah, that's what I do. Like
Wait,
I go one loop
that's.
and then I wrap around the one ear.
Oh no, I don't do
No,
that.
you do 2 ears.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
2
I
ears.
got 2 ears.
2 ears and then you pull. Yeah.
Wow.
Look at us.
I'll tell you what, the chat is liking this discussion. Steven says, I love a good tied shoe.
Nice.
Tie your
That's-
shoes, Domi.
That's the kind of talk I'm trying to do.
There was also a person from Chile in the chat who said, "Hello, I am Rodolfo from Chile," and then a bunch of people were just like, "Yo, what's the NHL? What's the temperature of the NHL in Chile?"
how
so-
are we doing in Chile?
I don't know.
Thank you,
What's up,
Rodolfo.
How are we? This is
The person who said I will not sit by while people do revisionist history on Peter Chiarelli. Absolutely
That's
not.
not
That's
what
not
was being
revisionist
done.
history. You remember that shit like it was yesterday. I like that Bob was like, "Oh yeah, that's exactly what happened." Fuck
He's
yeah.
like, great memory.
Yeah.
But that's also like you were,
I want to be like, these are the only things I care about.
and
But
like Peter Chiarelli had direct ties to Boston, so people from Boston were paying pretty close attention to what he was doing in Edmonton.
Common misconception. By the way, we're going to be on with Mike Felger today. We're doing Felger and Maserati from 3 to 4 p.m. check it out. You can do it online, 95thesportshub.com, on their app, or if you're in Boston, on NBC Sports Boston. We have been asked by multiple members of that show to fuck around as much as we possibly can because Mike Felger's show has structure. So we're going to go in, really just see what happens, probably chit-chat with them for a second. But a big thing when I covered the Bruins, Felger and I would always yell at each other on the TV or whatever, and he hammered home this point that a lot of Bruins fans picked up, which was that like Chiarelli and I were friends, and I always defended him just because I liked him. I'm pretty sure Peter Chiarelli thought I was the most annoying motherfucker in the world, and I never got the sense that he liked me. I just thought that he was not as bad at his job as people thought. Like, he fucked up a lot of things and deserved to eventually lose his job.
The problem is the things that he fucked up were like monumental fuck ups.
Well, he took a huge fucking risk where you could say it goes back to the Sagan trade, but he took a huge risk when he had a bunch of right wings that were making too much money, and he just got rid of them all. Peverly, Sagan, didn't re-sign Jágr, and he was like, you know what? We don't have any cap space, so I'm going to sign Jarome Iginla and give him a 35 and up contract where he'll make $1 million against this cap, and we'll put a clause in it that if he ties his shoes correctly, he gets $6 million, and it'll go against next year's cap. Mm-hmm. And the Bruins, I think they won the President's Trophy that year. They were fucking awesome.
They were great.
And they lost in the second round, and they couldn't afford to re-sign Iginla. They go into that next year with, I think, Seth Griffith as their first line right wing. Holy shit. Have a terrible season. Chiarelli gets fired. Took a risk. Didn't pay off.
Yeah.
Didn't work. But as far as Oilers fans are concerned, and yeah.
Griffin Reinhart, Taylor Hall.
That was so bad. Griffin Reinhart, I think, was his worst sin there. That was worse than, like, signing Sekera, I thought was fine. They just needed to get defensemen. Mm-hmm. But he did do some good things. Boston fans, 4th round pick for Dennis Seidenberg and Matt Bartkowski. Greatest trade maybe in NHL history. Hey, the Dallas Stars are for real back, and we never totally gave up on them.
Nope.
You said after they were down 2-0, you still felt good about them. Mm-hmm. You would not cash out or DFS out your DFS on them to win the Stanley Cup. They fell down 2-0 at home against the Golden Knights. And what have they done since? Rattled off 3 in a row, including a Game 5 win last night against Aiden Hill in net for the Knights. Suddenly, they're in the driver's seat of this series. Can finish them off, I want to say, Friday night? I think Friday tomorrow night. Yeah. Is Game 6. Mm-hmm. They are so back. They are back to the team that you watch, and you call them men, you call them adults, you call them whatever you want, and it's not even like they have one guy taking over, which is the most Dallas Stars thing in the world. Who's playing well for them? Other than Joe Pavelski? Fucking everyone.
That's true. Jason Robertson got on the board, big goal. They honestly could have had a couple more goals than they did score last night. Evgeny Dadonov, who did get on the board with a goal in the first period, developed the yips during that game. Had a breakaway where he did not even make a single move on the puck. Did you see that? He had a breakaway, and he was he literally froze on the breakaway, and then was like, "Oh shit, I have to make a move." And by then, it got poke checked away.
I saw Evgeny Kuznetsov freeze on a shootout. Same kind of thing, maybe?
Yeah, different thing, but it was equally as stunning. I guess the Kuznetsov thing was not stunning because everybody knew that he was doing that. Dadonov completely froze, and then on another opportunity blew a wide open net. So the Stars are humming. They're getting contributions. They tweaked their lineups a little bit heading into last night's game. They look really good, and obviously for a couple games now, Jake Ottinger has been Jake Ottinger, and the Stars all aboard.
Stars all aboard. Knights, I think maybe a little bit of doubt can creep in. And here we can see what the Knights' mettle is. See if they're the type of team that can crawl back into a series. Because what?
Alex Pietrangelo.
Oh, you think they're crawling? He's trying to crawl their way out of it?
I think so. Alex Pietrangelo had
metal grade. Alex Pietrangelo metal grade.
Metal grade.
Like their metal. MEDAL, I believe.
Like, wouldn't that be
They're like
METTLE?
I don't think so. Sean, can we get a number crunch on? By the way, number crunch completely stolen from Time Crisis.
No,
They're
I mean,
metal, meaning like they're composed, not composure.
Yeah, I think
They're
that's METTLE.
It's definitely not MEDAL.
okay. We've
Yeah.
eliminated MEDAL. I think
Metal, METTLE, a person's ability to cope well with difficulties or to face demanding situation in a spirited and resilient way.
Okay, can we get a spelling of to meddle with something? Is that MEDDLE?
Metal, like
double
like
D.
Verb.
like
Double D. It's
double D?
MEDDLE. Interfere
Yes.
in or busy oneself unduly with something that is not one's concern.
Look, you want to talk homonyms? We'll do it all day. And if
I'm-
there's one we don't know, we're gonna find out, like we just did. Very good job, Peter.
I'm beating the dumbest motherfucker on this podcast allegation.
The allegations that you
levied
leveled
by
against
myself.
yourself.
Yeah. So,
Well, no, well,
see, that's
I
why I
asked
like
you
to
about-
set the bar low.
But I did ask you about their metal, and I think you were like, "What the fuck?" And then I was like, "Oh, this one." And when I spelled it wrong for some reason, you then
Yeah.
knew which word I was
That's
talking
good.
about,
You
even
didn't
though you
understand
knew
the
the
use
That was
spelling
a
of
was
weird
wrong.
way to get to there. Yeah, I was not prepared for the word metal. But
Somebody said metal.
There's 4 different kinds of spelling of metal.
I
right?
mean, if earlier this week you did use the term like that would be so metal.
Yeah, like there's metal is in the
METAL,
iron
so.
type of deal. Yeah.
But Alex Pietrangelo, horrible game last night. He's not playing super well in terms of just like his hockey, but I also think that his brain might not be working because for the second year in a row, Alex Pietrangelo just an unforgivably dumb penalty.
You're laughing at the chat, right, DJ?
I am, but also,
okay.
you know, it was a combination of hearing something funny and seeing the funniest thing I've ever heard. And I hate, it's a terrible feeling when you say something that's like kind of funny and someone else laughs really hard and then you
something
realize they're like, they're not fucking paying attention to me. God fucking damn.
That's kind of, I realized that happening in real time. Which
It
is
was
why it's
two
so-
funny things happening and the chat saying the funniest thing in the world. We'll get to the chat in a second, but yes, he's now showing for a cup winner, a
two-time
multi-time cup winner,
yeah.
and a real fucking leader of men out there that, yeah, I'm not totally to be trusted.
It's crazy.
Do as I say, not as I do.
It is crazy that guy, who I think is one of the like most well put together, best defenseman in the league, great leader, won a Stanley Cup as a captain, like that guy has the ability to just lose his fucking head. And it's happened 2 times in a row where last year he had the overhand slash on Leon Draisaitl's wrists where he almost fucking hit the moon. His stick was so high before he came down on Draisaitl's wrists.
Asshole behavior. That was
Absolute
like
asshole behavior.
infuriating behavior.
How many games did he get for that? 1, 2?
No, I think it was 1 or 2.
Like I thought that he should have gotten at least 5 games for that.
That was some like Max Pacioretty type of shit, and I don't
Max
want that.
Pacioretty, like
Max Pacioretty, the year that the Bruins, getting back to that year that they, I think, won the President's Trophy, got eliminated in the second round. In Game 1, Max Pacioretty did a very, very sneaky slash of Zdeno Chara's hand, and this was we found out after it ended.
yeah.
Chara had like
Fracture.
broken fingers, so he couldn't hold his stick.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna be sneaky about it, fine. It's gamesmanship. It's not good behavior, but it's gamesmanship. Nothing sneaky about what Alex Pietrangelo did last year. The fact that he only got 1 game for that is insane. Last night, Dallas, he's tangled up with Tyler Seguin in the corner, and the puck's gone. They're still doing their little whatever. He swings his arm around and bitch slaps Tyler Seguin in the face. No reason, no real reason. Clips the visor cuts Seguin. 2 minutes for roughing. Then Dallas immediately scores on the ensuing power play. That ends up being the difference in the game. That's the game-winning goal. Alex Pietrangelo, for all intents and purposes, cost his team a swing game, the most important game of the season, because he just couldn't resist fucking bitch slapping Tyler Seguin, of all people, in the corner.
There are 3 penalties that you can take against Tyler Seguin. You may take a tripping penalty, you may take a slashing penalty, and you may take a holding penalty against Tyler Seguin. If you take any other penalty against Tyler Seguin, you are a fucking idiot. Because if you take a roughing penalty against Tyler Seguin or charging or any of these fucking things, the only excuse for taking a penalty against Tyler Seguin is he's doing something cool and you got to stop him. Seguin wasn't doing anything cool.
Nothing.
You just fucking wanted to slap him.
And it wasn't like it didn't seem like that was
And he's
really,
not even annoying.
it didn't seem like there was any sort of like heated entanglement or whatever in the corner. It was a standard run of the mill. We're going into the corner, puck battle. And for some reason, Pietrangelo at that point decided that he was going to lose his fucking mind and swing and hit Seguin in the face.
Stupid. The reason Sean and I were laughing so hard, do you know why we were laughing?
No.
So I said that we'll talk about homonyms, and then people started doing a bunch of puns on that. And the love of your life just hit us with hashtag homophobia.
Okay. That's not what I was.
I thought you were
at.
saying Pete's the biggest Bruins homonym.
I
That's
saw
what
that
I
as
was
well.
thinking
That
of,
was no. I just thought I don't know what the love of your
homophobia.
life was going for with that. If he was saying like, "Hey, I don't want to hear homonym talk," or if he was just saying the funniest possible misunderstanding of what a homonym is.
Immediately followed up with "I hate English." So, are they accusing the English language of being homophobic?
Someone said Zach homonym. These are good. Chat's having a good few days, by the way. Did I say what the chat was doing, by the way, on the Subban post?
I don't think so.
No.
So Subban posted his video on Instagram, the same video that we posted, and somebody commented A- clarification grade.
Very good.
And then somebody said, like, good behavior. Pete said the hosts were very knowledgeable about boxing, which is rare for a sports show like this. Folks, if you want to go to that PK Subban post on Instagram and either do some sort of what chaos chit-chatty sort of talk, the comments that you usually leave, or just say, go on what chaos, that would go a long way for us. Because I think that we have reached a good place with Subban where I didn't want to get him on after we were saying, he's not doing a good job at this. He should be doing better. We expected more. And then have him on and be like, hi, PK. Thanks for joining us. I think that there's an understanding where if we have him on now, we could be like, look, we're still trying to feel you out as a broadcaster, but we like you. I've never not liked PK. I've never not liked PK Subban ever. So I think that we're at a good space where he could come on and we could fuck around with him.
Yeah, I wanted to see some positive, some growth in his broadcasting career before we had him on. I've always been interested, always been rooting for him. That's why I was pretty fired up when I was like, all right, listen, I'm fucking done with this guy because I'm rooting for him. He continuously disappoints me and annoys me. It's obviously it's a short sample, but what we've seen from PK Subban past couple days, past couple games, this week, he is like looks so different from week to week. Like I was so happy with the ESPN broadcast last night. Never thought that I'd say that. Never thought that I'd get there. One thing that I'd noticed that ESPN's been doing recently, and I tried to bring this up yesterday, and I think it was completely ignored in the text chain. Have you noticed like how they're doing live transitions during games?
Really weird. They do cutaways.
Yeah, okay. I noticed that. I didn't see that you said something about it, but I noticed
No, it wasn't our chat. It was a different
okay. I was
chat,
gonna say like they did it at one point when Otter made like a big save.
Yes.
And they just like took a shot on Otter when the play was going the other way.
No.
Oh,
So
that's what I thought.
No. They do that.
That I think is
but
crazy.
the transition is they take the camera out of focus and then they do a live transition as it's going out of focus, and then it transitions. It's almost like a crossfade.
Yeah, I noticed the crossfade. Yep.
Into the game. It's really fucking distracting.
Bad behavior. I don't think I've noticed what you're talking. I was saying they just cut away to other shit during the game. They'll be like,
did
oh,
that
well,
too.
this play isn't important.
Yeah, that's what at one point there was like a breakaway going down towards Otter. He made a save, and then the play started going the other way, and then they just took like another camera and just had a shot of Otter as everyone else.
The
was
one
going
with the
other
glass
direction.
banging guy was
So
egregious.
I had no problem with that because they were tied up. There was nothing fucking happening in that tie-up. They cut to the glass banging guy who, no time for that guy. That guy stinks. They cut to that guy. That shot was very interesting. He was fucking like humping the boards and like being crazy.
Someone called him. He went full Call of Duty zombie mode.
Yeah. And then they went back to the play, and by the time they returned, nothing had happened and play picked back up. I thought that was a great bit of work.
No time for that guy. Let's do a slate grade presented by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHAOS for $20 off your first purchase tonight. Possibly for the only time this season. It could be Winter Classic. For the first time this postseason, we have one game at 8 p.m. U.S.
Also,
the Boston Bruins.
There was another game the day of the Winter Classic.
There was?
Yeah, pretty sure.
I can't remember. I feel like
Maybe.
I can investigate real quick.
I think there was. Definitely, there's been nights where there's been one game on the schedule, but first time this postseason.
First time this postseason. My bad. 8 p.m. U.S. The Boston Bruins will visit the Toronto Maple Leafs. Boston leads that series 3-2. They have a chance to close out the Leafs once again. If you are a Boston Bruins fan, you know that they have lost their last 5 consecutive closeout games going back 3 seasons now. Ooh, not good for the Boston Bruins. And the Leafs fans, I think, have like a little bit of like, you guys are doing it again. You guys are doing it again. And Bruins fans should be like, yeah, but we still win when it's against you.
I know.
Like Panthers fans or like any other team could be, Blues fans or like anybody could be like, oh, you're choking. It's like, yeah, but the Bruins version of choking against you still has them advance every fucking time. So they shouldn't really be worried. I said the other night, no fucking chance this ends in 6. I've gone back and forth, but I guess to stay committed to the take, I'll remain at this one goes 7. What do you think?
I've been on like this goes 7 the entire time.
Why leave now?
Why leave now? But I will say like stakes are very high. Obviously, one team is exercising demons no matter what here, right? Because the Bruins have put themselves in a position where even if they win tonight, then it doesn't go to a game 7. Like, okay, they're capable of closing out a series. We can put that to bed a little bit. And then, obviously if it goes to a game 7, they do that. The same thing. But if Toronto wins, I know they've already won a first round series, so that narrative is a little bit old or tired, but doing it against the Bruins would matter a whole lot to Toronto, especially with kind of the things that they've had to endure this series. And on that note, Austin Matthews out once again for game 6.
Austin Matthews and Danton Heinen out for game 6. So both teams without their top player in this one. I agree that this is a very big game for the Brad Marchand administration and the Zdeno Chara administration, the Patrice Bergeron administration, because it's funny hearing Bob talk about like, hey, like they've got a real good thing going in Boston with their leadership and all these sorts of things in the program. The Bruins are a choky team, and this could be a moment for Marchand's administration that we don't do that. We don't automatically do that. And I'm interested to see how tonight plays out because I was looking like, what was game 6 last year? Which was that one? And that was the one that was the real fucking mess from beginning to end. Charlie McAvoy took a penalty like a minute into the game. I think Verhaeghe scored right away. And both teams just scored the entire night. It went back and forth, back and forth. Pasternak scored in the third to give the Bruins a lead. They blew that in the third because Hampus Lindholm threw the puck over the glass. I want to say that Ullmark allowed like 4 goals in the third period. That was the craziest fucking most high scoring game. I think it was 7-5 maybe was the final score. Does that inform anything we're going to see tonight? I would imagine it would be a lower scoring game. I would think that it would be another tight one like the other night, but
I have no read on the series.
I have no
read on the series.
My friends were asking me for DFS plays. I said, you know what? I said, I'm not touching it. So I guess pick the Bruins because that's the thing that I see happening the least. But
I have no read on the series, but and this is a take that gets thrown around a lot when you're talking about game 6 is like, I think the Bruins need to win tonight. Like it's going to snowball. It snowballed last year. If you cannot put away the Toronto Maple Leafs 2 games in a row without their best player on the ice, fucking horrible behavior. And you're allowing the doubts to creep further and further into an already fragile mind.
What's interesting to me is that it doesn't seem that either coach in this series really cares too much about matchups, that they're like, oh, we got to get this guy away from this guy or anything like that. Like, it seems like home and road, they've had pretty similar execution. Jim Montgomery should figure out something to do, or what he can do, or what the Bruins can do. And I think they will have Brandon Carlo tonight, what they can do about Max Domi. Because if you can give Max Domi an off night tonight, then maybe that will throw them out of whack. You said that either way, demons are going to be exercised tonight. I think that either way in this series, there's a 75% chance that a coach is fired as a result of this series. Because if you're
doing a 50-50 split, if the Leafs lose, I think Sheldon Keefe is going to get fired.
They're probably going to fire Sheldon Keefe. And if the Bruins lose, they could fire Jim Montgomery. So there are big stakes of this fucking first round series against two teams that aren't great.
Yeah, I think that's kind of fair. Especially if the Bruins, if the Bruins lose, I think that Jim Montgomery gets fired.
2 years in a row, blowing a 3-1 series lead.
It's going to be very hard to look past the fact that you've had 2 3-1 series leads, and specifically this year. I think last year you can say, all right, it was the first year for Montgomery, was figuring things out. They went up against a better team. Not a better team, but a team that like had some magic behind them. They ran to the Stanley Cup final. You can excuse that. Again, the Leafs have spent most of this series without their best player, like without their second best player. If you want to say William Nylander is their second best player, like Mitch Marner's been bad. John Tavares, largely invisible. Like their core four has been missing for a large portion of this series. And if you cannot put that team away, that team that has worms for brains in the postseason, if you can't beat that team, I think you got to turn it over.
And if they don't do it immediately, maybe they would do it when they watch the rest of the Eastern Conference playoffs, because there is no team in the Eastern Conference so good that you would be shocked if they were upset going forward. So anybody can fucking come out of this. So the Panthers could make a second straight run to the Cup final. The Rangers, who are really good, President's Trophy winners, obviously, but also like kind of paper tigery, they could make a run. The Hurricanes, who never fucking do it, could make a run. So nothing that comes out of the Eastern Conference is going to make you say, well, we were never beating that team. I think the Bruins could beat any of these teams, and they could be beaten by any of these teams. So the difference between out in the first round versus potential conference final, cup final, it's a lot of money for the Jacobs that would be out of their pocket. It's at least in play.
And I also think that maybe you look at how many coaches have been fired and how robust that free agent market is, and it could be an incentive to say, well, this is a year where we have kind of our pick of the litter, and we can go out and get somebody that we're confident can replace Jim Montgomery. I don't want to see Jim Montgomery be what? Craig Berube? Craig Berube. That would be a hell of a twist. Like 4 or 5 years later, Craig Berube coaching the Bruins.
That'd be such a Boston sports fan thing to do. Like, hey, that guy scored 40 points against us in like the third game of the NBA season once. So we'll give him a huge ass contract. He's so good. Carl Crawford had that awesome opening day against the Red Sox.
Well, Carl Crawford was an awesome player until he got to Boston.
He was I loved Carl Crawford. He was a very good, not awesome
He was
player.
Electric.
I still liked when they signed him, but everybody at the time was like, bad contract, whatever, not my money.
Right. That's how the Red Sox should operate. Not to get too far off track. They should be able to throw bags at somebody who like other teams can't and won't do.
Okay, well,
another win an MVP.
Say again?
So Mookie Betts is going to win an MVP in Los Angeles.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. We know.
Hard.
You say that to me like I'm not a Red Sox
I know,
fan.
but no need to bring it up. Additional stakes tonight. Game 6. Jack Edwards' final game, calling the Boston Bruins as the play-by-play guy. Because if it goes to a Game 7, ABC has exclusive rights. It will be an ABC production on Saturday night. So this is Jack Edwards' final game. Fucking win it for Jack, please.
Win it for Jack. It would be amazing. And there's a great clip from the other night where Jack and Brick were signing off from the Garden for the final time. And The respect between those two is so real and so amazing that even if they are different human beings, one played in the NHL, one did not, one is a fucking maniac, the other one is not. Those two work so well together, and they each have so much respect for what the other one brings to the table. Watching this fucking 1 minute clip of them just saying like, hey, it's been nice is fucking amazing. I loved it so much. I cried on my way over to the studio today because the radio was playing Mike Gorman's sign off from last night. The longtime voice of the Celtics called his final game last night. And I was just like thinking about Gorman and all these Celtics memories. And I was like, man, we are losing. The Bostonian is losing Mike Gorman and Jack Edwards in the same year. It's going to be fucking weird showing up to the first day of school next year. Whole new teachers, everybody in all these new clothes. But shout out Drew Carter. He's going to do a great job for the Celtics. And whoever takes over for Jack is going to do fantastic as well. Maybe we'll have Jack on at some point during the playoffs. It'll be, hopefully they can make a nice run. We can get Jack in here.
I would love that. I've been wanting to have Jack for a while, even just to kind of like pick his brain in like a more conversational interview type thing, not necessarily talking about the Bruins.
He's
just a fascinating person.
Terrific. He's amazing. Okay, don't forget, we have Friday episodes, so we will be live tomorrow at noon. And if this game goes into overtime tonight, you know where to find us.
We're forgetting something. White Spike.
Oh, wait, I got to give the slate grade, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be controversial. I'm giving this an A. One game, big stakes, original six, Danton Heinen out. What happens? All eyes are going to be on that. I give it an A.
There was only one game played on
Winter Classic
Day.
Okay.
And
What was it?
there's also been like 4 other standalone games like this calendar year since the Winter Classic game.
Yeah.
Just so you know. And also, Carl Crawford was awesome.
Carl Crawford was awesome.
He batted 300 the year before he came to Boston, and he had several 300 years. He had MVP post.
He was fast as fuck, boy.
I was looking it up. He was fast as fuck.
I loved it. Whenever I use batting average in a baseball argument with my friends, I am told that batting average doesn't matter anymore. So now I'm going to use
that's the stupidest thing. I can't.
I was like,
will
how
not,
does that work?
Yeah, I will not subscribe. To
no,
that.
I understand why you would say that, but he had an 851 OPS the year before and 50 stolen bases. Like he was, by all metrics,
I love
pretty
Carl
fucking
Crawford.
awesome.
I love stolen bases.
So do I.
I love guys who are fast.
Same. He had 60 stolen bases, not the year before, but the year prior in 2009. He had 60 stolen bases.
The coolest baseball
I'll just say
players.
It was a Yankees move, though, to sign Carl Crawford.
Yeah, it was.
That was a very Yankees move.
It was.
Yeah, because they did it to
and there was
Jacoby
no
Ellsbury.
it seemed like there was no real character evaluation.
Well, you know they stalked him for a year leading up to it. Do you know this?
No.
The Red Sox stalked Carl Crawford for a year leading up to it to be like, what makes him tick? Looks like he brushes his teeth at night. Looks like they like followed him.
What?
And they were like, hey, got a big ass stack of papers. He's got like a 28 waist or whatever. Just like all this useless information. They were like, so let's give him that contract. And it's like, were you going to give him that contract no matter what? Probably.
And then he got to Boston and was like, boy, I hate it here.
Yep.
He instantly had the worst season of his career. 255 he batted.
And not only was he bad on the field, he was miserable to watch. Like he was having zero fun here. All of his quotes were pissy. Like he was permanent pissy Leon Draisaitl.
I was at his introductory press conference and he had horrible laryngitis. It did not portend well.
It was literally outside of the last year of his season, or the last season of his career, he batted 185. His worst season was probably his first season with the Boston Red Sox.
Nice.
Including his rookie year. His rookie year, he batted 259. His first season with the Red Sox, he batted 255.
Okay, Pete, give him a like spike. Make him do it.
Like
Spike, please.
3, 2, 1. Hit that thumbs up button right below the video player. Much appreciated. Let's see how many likes we can get before we sign off here. And if you're also here, please, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Trying to get those numbers up. We've been climbing a little bit, but appreciate all the support we can get. We love you. Community's been great. Also, our Discord is a great time. So if you have a Discord account, you want to download Discord, please do it.
Also
join
free
us.
To join.
Huh?
I said also free to join.
Also free to join.
Free to join the free to subscribe to YouTube, free to join the Discord. free to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, all those places. Go comment on PK Subban's Instagram and make jokes and tell him to come on White Chaos. Thank you. We love you.
We will be on with Felger and Maz 3 p.m. So we're going to get out of here and go do that. But from the 3 to 4 o'clock hour, we will be in studio, which is a big deal because that show does not do a lot of guests and it should be a freaking party. As I said earlier, we were told to fuck with them. We don't really have a plan, but it'll be a lot of fun. So if you're in Boston or if you're online or whatever, do it. Call in, ask about behavior, do whatever you need to do. We'll talk to you tonight if it goes into overtime or tomorrow. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.